Picture this. You wake up on a Monday morning. You make your coffee. You scroll your phone. And then you see it, 3 words trending across every platform at the same time. World War III. Declared. Your hands go cold. Your coffee sits untouched. And in that moment, every single thing you thought you knew about your life, your routine, your plans, your safety, all of it changes in a heartbeat. Most people think WW3 would look like a movie. Explosions on the horizon, jets screaming overhead, some kind of dramatic warning siren giving you time to react. But that's not how it starts. It never starts that way. The first week of a third world war would be the most disorienting, terrifying, and confusing 7 days most living humans have ever experienced. And almost nobody is actually prepared for what it would feel like from the inside. Before we go any further, if this kind of content keeps you thinking, keeps you asking the hard questions nobody else is asking, hit that like button right now and subscribe. Because what we cover on this channel, mainstream media won't touch. Now let's get into it. So let's talk about day 1. Not the missiles. Not the military movements. Day 1 for the average person in America, the UK, or Australia starts with confusion. Pure, suffocating confusion. Because the first thing that breaks in a world war isn't buildings, it's information. Your news apps start contradicting each other. One outlet says it's a limited conflict. Another says 3 NATO countries have already been hit. Social media is a war zone of its own. Half the posts are panic, half are people calling it fake. And you're sitting there in your kitchen trying to figure out which version of reality is true. Here's the brutal reality. Governments don't tell their citizens everything in the first 24 hours. They can't. Military strategy depends on controlling what the public knows and when they know it. So the average civilian is flying blind right as they need information the most. By the afternoon of day 1, the financial markets are already reacting. And this is where it gets real for ordinary people very fast. Stock markets in London, New York, Sydney, they don't wait for confirmation. They move on fear. Investors pull out. Currency values start swinging. And the people who feel it first aren't the billionaires. It's the people living paycheck to paycheck whose grocery prices just quietly jumped overnight. Now day 2. This is when the panic becomes physical. People go to the shops. Not because they need something specific, but because their gut is telling them to get something before it's gone. And that instinct, multiplied by millions of people acting on it at the same time, creates the very shortage they were afraid of in the first place. Petrol stations see lines around the block. Supermarket shelves, specifically tinned food, bottled water, batteries, gone by mid-morning. Online orders get delayed. Delivery drivers don't show up. Supply chains that were already fragile from years of post-pandemic strain start showing cracks within 48 hours of a major conflict announcement. And here's the thing nobody talks about, it's not just food and fuel. It's medicine. Prescription medications, hospital supplies, even basic things like paracetamol. A huge percentage of the world's pharmaceutical supply chain runs through regions that would be directly affected by a large-scale war. One disruption at the source and within days, pharmacies in Manchester, Melbourne, and Minneapolis are rationing stock. By day 3, the government messages start. Emergency broadcasts. Calm voices telling you there's no need to panic, which, ironically, is always the thing that makes people panic more. Civil defense guidelines get dusted off from documents that haven't been updated since the Cold War. Advice that was written for a different era, a different kind of warfare, a different world. Because here's what those guidelines don't account for. This war won't look like the last one, this war won't look like the last one. And that's the part that should genuinely keep you up at night. Previous world wars were fought with boots on the ground, naval fleets, air raids you could see coming. This one, from day 1, runs on invisible infrastructure. Cyberattacks that knock out power grids before a single physical weapon is fired. Satellite systems going dark. GPS signals being jammed across entire regions. Your phone stops working not because of a bomb, but because someone halfway across the world flipped a digital switch. Day 4. The internet starts behaving strangely. Not gone, just wrong. Websites loading slowly. Banking apps timing out. Some people can't access their accounts. And suddenly the thing everyone took completely for granted, the ability to move money, to pay for things, to confirm whether your family is safe, becomes uncertain. A cashless society sounds incredibly convenient right up until the infrastructure holding it together gets targeted. And this isn't theory. Military strategists have been wargaming exactly this scenario for over a decade. The first major strikes in a modern world war won't necessarily be physical. They'll be digital. They'll be designed to create maximum civilian confusion and minimum immediate evidence of who did it. Day 5 is when the human cost starts becoming impossible to ignore. Not just in the conflict zones, but right at home. Reservists get called up. In the UK, the United States, Australia, these are real people. Fathers, sons, daughters, people who signed up years ago never really expecting the call to come. And now it has. Families sitting around dinner tables having conversations they never prepared for. Do you go? What happens to the mortgage? What happens to the kids? Military recruitment offices that were quiet for years suddenly have lines outside them. Some people driven by patriotism, some by fear, some just because enlisting feels like doing something when everything feels out of control. And meanwhile, airports are chaos. People trying to get home to family. People trying to get out. International flights being rerouted, canceled, or commandeered for military logistics. By day 6, the psychological weight of it is sitting on everybody's chest. Sleep becomes difficult. Even people far from any conflict zone start showing signs of acute stress. Trouble concentrating, irritability, this low-level hum of dread that doesn't switch off even when nothing immediate is happening near them. Psychologists have a term for it: anticipatory anxiety. The fear of what might happen is almost as destabilizing as what's actually happening. And here's something nobody in the government will say out loud in week 1. Mental health infrastructure would be completely overwhelmed. Crisis lines, therapists, emergency mental health services, all of it would be stretched beyond capacity almost immediately. Because the trauma of a world war doesn't wait for the war to arrive at your doorstep. It arrives the moment you understand that the world you knew yesterday no longer exists. Day 7. 1 week in. The world looks the same from your window. The streets might still be quiet. The birds are still outside. But everything underneath has shifted. The economy is recalibrating around a war footing. Governments are making decisions in closed rooms that will affect ordinary people for generations. And most civilians are only just beginning to understand that the preparation window, the time to think clearly, act calmly, and make smart decisions, that window is already closing. The first week of WW3 won't be remembered for its explosions. It'll be remembered for the silence, the confusion, the moment ordinary people realized how fragile the normal world actually was, and how little warning they got before it changed forever. If this video made you think, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And stay locked in on this channel, because the conversations nobody else is having, we're having them right here,